Welcome to part 2 of the 7 most dangerous and deadly punishments in history. Some of these were so horrifying that they sound like something straight out of a horror movie. Let's get into it. This one was designed to make death as slow as possible. The breaking wheel was used across Europe for centuries. And trust me, it was pure torture. The victim was tied to a large wooden wheel, and executioners would take an iron club and start smashing their bones. But here's the worst part. Executioners were trained to break bones without killing the person right away. Some victims were left alive for days, suffering in unbearable pain before finally dying. This was public entertainment back in the day. Yeah, people actually watched this for fun. The Spanish Tickler sounds harmless, right? Nope. This was one of the most gruesome torture devices in history. It was a set of sharp, curved metal claws designed to rip flesh apart. The executioner would drag it across the victim's skin, muscles, even down to the bone. It was so brutal that victims rarely survived, and if they did, well, let's just say they weren't looking great afterward. This one was used by pirates and naval forces, and honestly, it was one of the worst punishments at sea. A person was tied with ropes and dragged underneath the ship, scraping their body against the sharp, barnacle-covered bottom every time they resurfaced. They were gasping for air before being pulled right back under. Most victims drowned, got cut to pieces, or were left in so much pain that they died from their injuries later. Yeah, pirates didn't play around. If you ever thought getting cut in half was a quick death, think again. Sawing was one of the slowest and most excruciating punishments ever used. The victim was hung upside down, and executioners would take a huge saw and start cutting between the legs. The blood would rush to the victim's head, keeping them alive longer so they could feel every second of agony. Some people stayed conscious until the saw reached their chest. Yeah, medieval executioners were next-level sadistic. Imagine being slowly crushed under an increasing weight and not being able to do anything about it. That's exactly what happened with this punishment. In places like England and India, executioners would lay a person on the ground and start stacking heavy stones or metal plates on top of them. At first, it was just uncomfortable, but as more weight was added, the victim's chest collapsed, making it impossible to breathe. Some people lasted hours or even days before finally suffocating. All this just because they refused to confess to a crime. This next one, let's just say it's not a punishment you'd want to sit through. The Judas Cradle was a torture device shaped like a sharp wooden pyramid. The victim was suspended above it, with their body weight slowly being lowered onto the sharp tip. The goal: maximum pain, zero mercy. Some people were forced to sit there for hours or days, suffering slowly before infection or internal injuries finished them off. And to make it even worse, the same cradle was used on multiple people without cleaning it. Yeah, medieval hygiene was not a thing. Why bother with an executioner when you have hungry crocodiles? In some ancient cultures, prisoners were simply thrown into a pit full of crocs. These beasts didn't waste time. They would bite, thrash, and tear apart the victim in seconds. Let's be honest. This was probably one of the fastest deaths on this list, but also one of the most terrifying. History is filled with some brutal punishments, but these were next level. It makes you appreciate how far we've come. Because let's be honest, no one wants to go through any of these. Which one do you think was the worst? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more insane historical facts.